We're entering the Chinese cemetery, and look how far you have to go. All the way down this road to the back of where Lone Mountain Cemetery resides, and that's the real shameful part in it all, is that it's segregated and the Chinese aren't buried with some of their own people. I don't know how big this cemetery is. I just know it's a fenced-in area, and a lot of the laborers that work these mines in Lovelock and towns like Unionville and Ragtown and Rochester, most of them were Chinese, so we do have to pay our respects to them too. I don't know if I'll get any EVPs. I've gotten Chinese EVPs where I don't understand that. It's because it's in another language. You know, ghosts can speak Chinese or Latin or all kinds of languages we don't know. But this is just a small little addition we can add to our site, just to kind of show people that this area did have some segregation. Unless the Chinese opted to have their own cemetery. I don't know. I don't know the backstory of this place. From what I can tell, there's only 5 or 6 graves and everything else is empty, which means that a lot of times the Chinese, they would, what they would do is take their loved ones or exhume their loved ones and go back to China with them. So it is quite possible that many of the graves don't exist here because they were moved. Or the cemetery went through some heavy vandalism. We'll check it out. So we've entered the cemetery. I only see about 15 grave sites. This is interesting. It's an urn of some kind with candlesticks in the pot of sand. I've never seen, this is very interesting. Is that hand-blown glass? I can't tell. But you can see this cemetery is not as extensive as the Lone Mountain one. The Lone Mountain one has graves of at least probably 1,000 interments. And then you come here and there are no headstones, only vases, or as some people say, vases, and a little mound per grave. This is what you would call a poor man's cemetery, and I hate using that word, but this was a potter's field. That's what this is. It's the potter's field. And potter's fields are very inexpensive graveyards. Generally, some people opt to have no grave markings. My car alarm's going off again. Right up to the edge of the fence. But often the Chinese were mistreated, but they did build a great wall at the Donner Lake Railroad tunnels, and maybe some of these Chinese buried here were responsible for that. The Great Wall, we have photos of and video footage. If you want to check out the Donner Lake tunnels, do so. But what really gets me is this. This is generally for gardens, keep hens and chickens in, and it seems that the Chinese have made use of this. Like I said, it's a Potter's Field cemetery. Nice craftsmanship here, but it's a shame that it's a poor man's cemetery. You don't see the Masonic work here that you do next door. A lot of masons carve them stones. They're beautiful, beautiful carvings. There's no art. There's very, I don't want to say plain. It's just more simplified. And I guess the Chinese took death not as serious as the Europeans did. To them, they believe the soul goes back into the universe, or at least in Chinese culture, burials are kind of simplified to begin with. Just that's all you see is a vase, and most of the flowers are dead in them. And we're at the Chinese cemetery in Lovelock. Tammy was telling me that probably a preservation group came here and put all the vases that you see on each. I mean, these are new vases. and probably cleaned up the Chinese cemetery. I believe at one time this cemetery, almost all the burials were poorly marked, and they came in here and they put the wiring around each burial mound. They probably knew where the burials were because you could see the mounds. But look at this. It looks like bodies have been exhumed. Like here, 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 here. It's flat. It's like they never dug the Chinese down too deep, which means that's why there's mounds, because they only dug them about 2-3 feet. Just enough where the coyotes wouldn't get to them. I'm waving the Tammy. Some of the Chinese took their loved ones back. That's what these were filled in. You could tell these were filled in. And these bodies were exhumed. Or maybe they are grave sites and water and erosion has taken place and these mounds have shrunk down. One or the other, I don't know. I've pieced together 2 great films of each cemetery in depth. I really don't know the history. I can imagine 1800s, just like the cemetery next to Lone Mountain. This one's just in deplorable condition. It's been fixed up a little, but some vases are smashed, flowers are dying or dead. Some of the body's been exhumed. There's unmarked graves. It's kind of a grim, morbid situation. But it is what it is. And I do honor the Chinese for their hard work here in the Wild West. It's because of them the railroad came through the Sierras. They are the ones that made it happen. So let's give a shout out to them. I just wanted to show everybody there's a little statue of Buddha. I didn't want to get in the sunlight's way. And some flowers. Those are fresh flowers, but they are dying. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The flag needs replacing. These Chinese believed in Buddhism, which is a little different from Catholicism or Mormonism. Everybody had different religions, ethnic backgrounds. They came from Europe, they came from Africa and China. All for gold, all for silver. And a lot of them today can be found in this very cemetery you see.
And those must have been the tiles on that thing over there.
Tammy and I found a box of tiles and a bunch of broken, what looks to be is a broken headstone. The funny thing is it's on this side of the fence, the opposite side of Lone Mountain, which you see across. And then here's the Chinese cemetery. Those same tiles, let me see if I can zoom in because I really don't feel like walking back out there. Do you see those tiles on top? Look carefully. Here's the tiles right here. So either there was extra supplies they had. It doesn't explain the broken tombstone next to them. Obviously that's purely vandalism. And here's another broken tombstone. I just want to document it so people know there are broken tombstones along the fence of the Chinese cemetery. I don't know if they came from there and people threw them and up against here and tried to put vases, or if people broke graves in here and threw them over the fence. I don't know. It's a mystery, one that we may never solve. Just real quick, folks, I'm heading out to the Chinese cemetery, but you can see people throwing their beer bottles. I mean, I see about 50 beer bottles out there, a couple old wood fence posts, bunch of broken glass. People come out here to drink and party. They have no respect for the deceased or soda cans. Coors Light, crushed up, Miller, Heineken, just thrown in the desert. It's a sad situation. Even today, it seems like the Chinese are still being disrespected. So if anybody could please come in here and clean this up. I do not live around here, and the sun is going down. Please come here and pick up all this. There's wild horses. There's a cemetery, for Pete's sake, in front of us. And that's what's left of it. Very little remains. What a shame.